May 9th, 1999, that was the day that changed my life forever.
Mike Urbach and his then-wife Kimberly were riding home on Interstate 5 in California after a weekend barbecue with their motorcycle club. Mike says he doesn't remember anything from that day, but was told it all started when a car began weaving in and out of lanes.
He must have possibly fallen asleep or something like that, and then realized where he was on the right shoulder, jerked the steering wheel, and made a hard left and came right across the lanes. I ended up going into his driver's door. When that impact occurred, I flew off the bike, landed in the center divide, impacted the left frontal part of my helmet.
Mike suffered a traumatic brain injury and bumps and bruises. This accident was the catalyst for years of headaches, dizziness, and personality changes. There wasn't much to be done for the first two, but after seeing his neurologist and telling him he was quick to anger and had very little patience with people, he was prescribed Prozac, which he says has worked just fine over the years. After over a decade of suffering with symptoms of that traumatic brain injury, Mike starts to see changes in his body. He's losing weight and muscle mass, and a friend notices his arms and legs are beginning to atrophy.
And then that started a series of tests where I finally got diagnosed with Inclusion Body Myositis.
IBM is defined as a rare neurological condition that causes muscle weakness and damage. Symptoms usually include progressive weakness in muscles of the hands, forearms, thighs, and lower legs. Essentially, the body begins to wither away, at first losing strength, then mobility, leading to being wheelchair-bound, dependent on others to help with life's most basic tasks. There's no treatment, cause, or cure today for IBM. But Mike thinks there's a connection between his brain injury and the onset of IBM, but every time he's asked for someone to look into that connection, he's been dismissed. As Mike's battle with IBM rages, in 2017, he's handed another hammer blow.
Couldn't be bad enough that I have a incurable muscle disorder. I suddenly have pop up with bladder cancer.
After completing his first round of radiation and chemo, the chemo making his IBM worse and worse, Mike says his urologist recommended bladder removal surgery.
I already have to worry about how I get around, how I move, and that's going to keep getting worse. Now I'm going to have to deal with a bag for my urine. So how is that going to affect my overall quality of life?
Mike opted out of the surgery and changed doctors. He spent the next 2 years trying a holistic approach to his care with minor surgeries to try and stave off the cancer. Eventually, that approach failed. He then had his bladder and prostate removed with some success. But with Mike, nothing ever stays positive. After a few clear scans, he says the doctors told him they couldn't get all of the cancer cells and it had spread into his urethra. Another surgery was recommended to remove the urethra with a full battery of radiation and chemotherapy treatments. Mike agreed to the surgery, but refused the aftercare radiation and chemo treatments. There's no known effects of radiation on IBM, but Mike knows how badly chemo affected his IBM in 2017.
They said that, we don't do radiation without it accompanying some form of chemo. And so it's kind of like, that's going to affect my inclusion body myositis. I know that's going to happen. That's even going to make that worse.
Through it all, Mike is trying to stay positive and live his life to the fullest, knowing his cancer is spreading and the IBM is not going to be magically cured.
You got to keep moving on and keep looking forward. And I kind of do that because once you stop looking forward, it's over. You might as well just bring in the casket and say adios, because then it's done.